Dr. John Scott, chairman of the Atmospheric Science Department at the University at Albany. And I'm going to ask him some questions about his childhood to start off with. Dr. Scott, I understand that you grew up on a commune?
Well, not really a commune. It was an anarchist, it was a community formed around an anarchist school. So it wasn't a commune in the sense of the Soviets or anything like that. There were anarchists, socialists, and communists there, but primarily it was formed by anarchists. And it was formed around the school, which was the Ferrer modern school. Do you want to know more about the school?
Well, I'd like to know more about the school.
The school was founded in New York City first, back in about 1908 or 7. The third teacher in the school was Will Durant, who was a relatively well-known writer. He married his wife of 14 who was a student at the school. Her name was Ida Kaufman. He called her Ariel, so it's Will and Ariel Durant. They wrote many well-known histories and history of civilization, and his very popular book, The Story of Philosophy, was one of the things he wrote. But anyway, the school was formed because Ferrer was executed in Spain. Ferrer believed that everybody should have an education. We shouldn't segregate the sexes in education, and that his main principle was freedom in education. This is a concept where children are allowed to decide at their own pace when they learn something and what they learn. For example, I learned how to read when I was almost 10, simply because I was never told I had to read. School was a very artsy, crafty school. There was an art room, a weaving room, a kindergarten, a large play area, a wood shop, ceramic shop, and a stage and an auditorium where we would perform plays and things like that. So it's a lovely little setting in a rural area in New Jersey. I believe it was about 1917, the school moved from New York to New Jersey, bought this farm, and people came from all over to join this community, mostly anarchists, mainly to send their children to the school. Now, I'll tell you about how I learned how to read.
Yeah, I'd like to know that story.
Okay. I wanted to learn how to read the comic books. I had no real desire to learn how to read for its own sake, but other children younger than me were reading comic books, mostly the children that went to the public school. Public school, they were forced to read at an earlier age, but we weren't. Most of the students at our school learned to read at about the same time, same age as I did, about 9 to 10 and a half maybe. Well, anyway, I asked my mother, who was assigned to teach the children how to read, if they wanted to. So I said to her, I want to learn how to read. And she said, well, read this book of poems. And she said, here, start with this one. Well, she gave me a poem that I knew, because it was a common poem. It was Little Robin Redbreast, and, what will he do? What will poor Robin do when it snows? Remember that one? Well, I knew it at the time, and so I could pick out some of the words that I knew. So I finished that poem and understood all the words, and she sang me a few more. And in a matter of 3 or 4 days, I was reading most of the poems, practically any of the poems. I'd have trouble with a word or two, and I'd ask her what that was. in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks, I was reading Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, and I read all the Oz books in the little library. There was a little library in the community there, and of course became a very avid reader. I read the comic books too, but I started to spend almost all of my time reading.
So you started out at this school at age 4 or 5?
I was 2 years old when I started. There was no age limit, high or low. Usually the students left when they were 14, or sometimes 15. My sister was 15 when she left. I was 14. So I spent 12 years at that school. I learned how to multiply in 4 hours in a very similar way. I learned how to add and subtract by playing games. The school play was probably the most important thing we did at the school. There were no classrooms, no set times, no assignments, no grades, no separation of ages, so the older students taught the younger students, which is a multi-age setting, which I believe to be the best. And I think the old one-room schoolhouse is starting to come back in parts of the United States.
So that was more of a school than a living arrangement. Your parents moved to that location in New Jersey in order to get you that education?
Yeah, my mother had been a teacher in a one-room schoolhouse in Taconic, New York, not too far south of Albany. And she heard about the school in Mohegan and decided to go find out what it was about, and liked what she saw. She met my father there, and they stayed and learned how to become teachers in that school for about a year, I believe. They got married and came back and raised my daughter, my sister, and me in a Thoreauvian anarchist hut in Taconic, New York. Yeah, actually there were 2 little huts. We grew our own vegetables. We had a spring for our water, canned food, and had a root cellar. So we lived like Henry David Thoreau. And they got out a paper called Mother Earth. Emma Goldman, who's a well-known anarchist, had a publication called Mother Earth, but she had stopped printing it. So they sort of took it over and made a little bit of money on subscriptions to Mother Earth.
So you were born in 1932. You were at the school in that community from 1934 to 1946.
46, yeah.
Those are very interesting years to be involved in that sort of movement. Did the school go on for some time after that, into the late 40s, into the 50s?
The Ferrer schools started all over the United States as a reaction to his assassination, and all over the world, as a matter of fact. The school that I went to in Stelton lasted till 1954. And I said, I don't know why it stopped. Camp Kilmer, which was a port of embarkation, moved in next and took over part of our land. They just usurped part of the land of the school.
Should I pause? Okay, the phone call was the wrong number or something.
But I think the main reason the school stopped was it was a school for the people who were anarchists or of a libertarian philosophy, and they sort of grew up and there were no replacements. The population left, basically, and the school got smaller and smaller, and it just sort of closed. There was another one in Lakewood, New Jersey, run by teachers who had taught in this school that ran to about 1965. But that was the last of the Ferrer schools in the United States. There's still some Ferrer schools in Spain, however. Again, the main premise of the school was that freedom in learning is a good thing. The anarchists wanted freedom in learning to teach freedom, teach what they call true democracy or total democracy, which is what many anarchists believe, that everybody should vote